All right. Hello. Welcome everyone. Today we are going to start with the last and the most important topic in our training. Uh, we already have learned the data model, how to create a data model, what are the steps creating the data model, creating the entities, cubes, relationships, how we will load the data into entities, cubes, and relationships, uh, how the data can be uh, stored in the multidimensional database, as well as how we can on a runtime click on a drill through protocol or get a virtual data, get a data from the ERP, which we call it as to be stored in a virtual cubes. Anyways, all our sessions have started with the service-oriented architecture of board. As we discussed, the board is a multi-dimensional database. It's a file-based database where the data is stored in the form of cubes and not in the form of tables and rows and columns. Uh, this is the architecture. Excuse me. So this is a board service-oriented architecture where a board database can be stored on a server side where it can connect with the data source with your ERP or legacy systems and load the data from there and store it in board and can be accessed through the front end. I repetitively telling during this training, we are focusing on this training for board 12 because that is the latest version and we have moved completely from a Windows client to the board web client. Okay. So you must have done all your exercises and training and analysis on the web client. Okay. But in the diagram or also even in the help.board.com, you will see a lot of articles about board 10. Correct. So board 10 is the last version in the Windows client family, and we are going to stop. We actually have stopped all the developments on board Windows client. The support will be stopped somewhere within some months. I don't know. It could be 6 or 12. Anyways, the word Windows client is important for some of you who are working with a client who is on an older version of board. Having said that, all the new clients and all the developments what we are doing and we are doing it on board web, which is board 12.1, which is the latest version. Okay, so we view the data front end is done from a web client or through Office of add-in or through the mobile or the tablets because it uses HTML5 technology and the same data can be shown in a application format or a mobile format. Okay. So we discussed how we have created the backend in the board in the form of cubes, data relationships, and entities, and how we can load that data through a data reader protocol. Okay. We also learned about ETL, how we can use the ETL, how the Excel formulas used in the ETL, which is a very powerful functionality within the board as well. Once the data is stored in board, then we discuss the second topic, which is analytics and reporting, where we discuss and learned how we can create multiple reports from the database stored in a board, how we can cater to the multiple uh, data analysis and reporting requirement uh, in multiple formats, either be a tabular format, which is a data view, chart, Cartesian chart, pie chart, a donut chart, heat map, geo map, etc. All right. We also learned about importance of mask, how the mask template is important and how it can be used throughout the application. Uh, the most important aspect which we learned uh, is the layout configuration and how the layout configuration is important or is used throughout the multiple objects. So in my last session, I explained the layout in detail, and I asked also the team members to who have attended the training to go through the e-learning videos as well based on the layout, because layout configuration is the basic backbone of any application. Okay, once you uh, got a thorough understanding of a layout, you will see that other things are mostly based on a copy paste, or you can just simply uh, copy the similar layout and paste it. So as an exercise, what I always ask the candidates is to go through is create the multiple data views and create separate screens for each of the functionality. So you see, for one functionality, time function, I have created a screen. For pager and selector, I have created a screen. For charts, I have created another screen. For geo maps, I have created, where is it? For geo maps, I have created another screen. Uh, for pages selectors, I have created another screen. I missed one of the chat yesterday, but I think you can explore that on yourself. Not one, actually four charts, which is radar chart, which nothing but gives you how much actuals versus budget comparison in a pictorial format. Sometimes it gives a very nice picture uh, as a front end. How the heat map is done, you can immediately see how the data works in the heat map, the waterfall chart, and the bubble chart as well. So I asked team also to go through the e-learning videos and get their learning them as a self study, and raise any questions if you have. Because the idea of this training is to follow a hybrid approach where uh, you on your side you put some effort on completing the e-learning videos, and then I would like to I am here to explain the critical points, obviously take walk you through the features of the application as well, but also focus on the critical points and give you a real case scenario which we usually face during any of the project, so you can relate to it and you can try to create a better try to create a better application. Okay. Just a second. All right, so yeah, in this way you can create a bubble chart. One example of configuration, as I told you, the same layout configuration what we are using, where we put the data blocks and the access, can be used throughout. So you see the layout in my data view. A similar layout can be shown in your chart, and everywhere it follows the same pattern. Even if you go to the label, so you see this KPI, what I am showing here is a label, correct? How I am showing this label KPI, I am just simply going to the layout and I have configured my cells uh, KPI to be shown on the layout. Okay. If I don't want to show the net sales, I can actually also show uh, the standard price or whatever. You can just drag and drop, and those KPIs can be shown on your layout. So you can use a very intuitive KPI dashboard. Uh, which can be shown on the screen based on the selection. Okay, so we learned various aspects about reporting and analytics and front end to be shown on the code. Okay, now let's start with the today's topic. Today we are going to start with the planning and the procedure training. All right. Uh, the agenda of today's session is to understand what are the procedures and how the what is automation, how we can achieve different requirements from the customer, however complex could be, to break them down into a sequence or a series of sequence which runs one after another, and through which we are going to respond through which we are going to design an application for to get a desired output. Okay, so we'll learn about the procedures. We'll learn about some automations, how we can automate certain process. Let's say a very general example is the data loading automation. Okay, where we always get a request from a customer that okay, we create a BI application, but they don't want to do anything on their own. Board should automatically connect to the ERP, automatically fetch the data for a corresponding period, automatically refreshes the data. Sometimes it should be shown on the dashboard. Sometimes they might request to be sent through an email. Okay, there will be n number of requirements which can come from the customer, and then it's our as a board ambassador and as a board consultant, it's our job to quantify the requirement, to think on it, and how we can then convert it into a board application. All right, so we are going to learn on that. then we are also going to learn the data flow concepts. I can understand this is something which most of you would like to also go through with it with a very relatable examples. So I will go through that. And then the calculation, which is a part of data flow anyways. Okay. But before all of this, we need to learn about what is the data entry and how data entry is used and how the interaction with the database can be done through data entry in board. Okay. Mm, these parts are anyway something we will keep out of scope for now because we might lose on some time. But anyway, I will try to cover workflow part uh, within the training if possible. Okay. All right. So the first planning feature which starts in board is the data entry. Okay. As the name suggests, a data entry is the place where you input the data in the board and that data gets saved in the board application. All right. A typical board application might look or a typical board planning application would look like this, where we have series of actions to be taken care to achieve a particular planning process. So it could be operational planning, could be sales planning, financial planning, merchandising, demand forecasting, I don't know, manpower planning, anything can be created and can be defined as a part of a process flow. And on this each of the process flow, we can put some indicator and put some conditions so that we can also monitor the workflow as well. Okay. So any typical sales planning application looks like this. So because I had already given the introduction in my first session, because I see there are some additional members in today's meeting, I will quickly take you through a typical board planning application. All right. So you will going to see what we are going to learn as a part of these two sessions. Okay. Okay. So this is a very generic, a typical board planning application. Excuse me. Yeah, a typical board sales planning application. Okay. As the name suggests, sales planning application is the one where the budget or the planning is initialized by the budget admin. Let's say in this case, he is the sales head. He or she is going to initialize the plan based on their previous year performance, and will set up the next year's target for different salesperson, and then it will open for other salespersons to see and check what are the targets given to them and how they are going to achieve the target. If because salesperson knows the ground reality at the market level, so they might provide their own input to increase or decrease the target or to arrive at a common conscious. So that is where they will do a manager review, and once the manager review is done, they will submit the budget, and then the forecast or the budget will be freezed and will be available for the analysis when the actuals come. Okay, so this is a very simple sales planning process. So this process starts with the budget initialization. So what at this stage what happens is we load all the actuals data. We load all the actuals data in the board applications from the ERP. All right, and we provide some drivers for the the national sales head to uh, initialize the budget. All right, there are two types of planning or the budgets which can be done. One is called as a driver based planning. So what example I am showing you is a driver based planning where I am using a growth percentage as a driver with the previous year. Okay. So it depends on client to client. So someone might use driver based planning. Okay. Can anybody give me then other example is the zero based planning. All right. I don't know. Can anybody try to give me an example of zero based planning? Anyone would try to give me an example? For others who have joined, this is going to be an interactive session. So please feel free to participate. Please ask any questions whenever you feel. If you want to repeat any topic, let me know. Stop me then and there, and I would like to. I will also explain it again once for you. Okay. All right. Coming back to the question, can anybody venture in and tell me what could be the example of zero-based planning? You can take a guess. Answer could be wrong as well. That is fine. Anyone?
Forecasting the expenditure or revenue without any prior period data, or starting the forecast with zero level.
Correct. That is the definition of the zero-based planning. Okay. But do you see any practical scenario where it is using? All right. Let me tell you one example. You will relate to that more. Take an example of a luxury brand. Let's say Ferrari. All right. Ferrari had sold, let's say, 800 cars last year. Can you say that this year they want to grow by 10%, and this year they are going to sell 880 cars? Is this something could be a possibility? No, because that is a very luxury item, right? So you cannot predict on the luxury item, and you put a driver to define the budget. So how the Ferrari people might have or will might be doing their planning is they see the pipeline, what are the orders already in their pipeline, and then they just put up a delivery date and plan for that, isn't it? So it is the case with the luxury brands mostly where they cannot rely on the yesterday's data uh, because it might be something I don't know if you follow news. There was one year, I guess 2017 or 18, in Maharashtra, the sales of Mercedes uh, has been upped significantly. That was because it was a very good year in terms of rains and everything and harvesting, and many people chose to buy a high-end luxury car. Okay, even at a farming sector, people as well. So these are typical examples. Okay, let me tell you one more example. Take an example of a nuclear reactor. Okay, so let's say Mitsubishi. I don't know if you know, Mitsubishi is a big conglomerate which manufactures from the nuts and bolts to the nuclear reactors. So they have ACs, cars, I don't know, heavy machineries, everything they do. Okay. So imagine Mitsubishi nuclear vertical. If they have sold 5 nuclear plants or 5 nuclear machineries last year, are they going to sell, let's say, 6 this year? No, because it cannot be. So the zero-based planning is something where you do the planning based on some other base, or it could be an opportunity pipeline, or it could be government contracts, what they have already signed, and so on. Okay. Clear with this example? What is the zero-based planning and what is the driver-based planning? What example we are looking here is a driver based planning. What driver I am using? I am using a growth as a driver with my previous year's values. So what this national sales head has done is he asked to upload all the data for the previous year, and now he or she wants to set up the initialize the budget. What they can do, they can simply click on the initialize growth. So these are some growth initialization factors which we are given, where they have copied directly the previous year data. So you see the previous year data is directly copied, and this is going to be then defined as a budget for the next year. Okay, or they can click on the 10% growth. In that case, what happens? A 10% growth is applied in the previous year, and a growth factor has been calculated over here. And let's say that previous year the sales was 50,000. Now they are saying it could be 55,000. Okay, or they can do a planning. Or they can do a 5% growth or what they say is okay, uh, they can give their own manual growth. How they can show is they say that okay, uh, my beverage business is going to grow by 30%, my condiments is going to grow by 5%. They are going to reduce uh, their share on, let's say, meat and poultry product category. So they are going to say grow by 1%, and I will save, another will be a flat growth of 10%. And they can initialize the growth based on the inputs. So you will see that the planning will be created based on the growth which I have given. Okay. Now, as a national sales head, the person decided, okay, this will be my growth. So previous year I had my sales as 102,000. This year it could be 117,000. Let's make it a round figure. I will make it 150K. Okay. You see that the moment I put 150K, the numbers are automatically realigned at the other categories in the same ratio which was available there. We are going to learn this, but the moment I put 150, it will be automatically applied to all the categories, and I say okay, now the budget is done, budget is initialized, and this will budget will be available for all the salesperson to review. Then what happens is the salesperson will log in into the same application. All right, the salesperson will log into the same application and would look into the net sales. One second. Yes, and it is for only a particular selection. Okay. Let's say the national sales has initialized the budget, and it will be sent to all the salesperson that okay, your budget has been started. Please go and review your budget and input the numbers. So what happens is onto the same application, a salesperson logs in, and he or she sees that okay, there has been some budget which has been assigned to me as a salesperson. And then uh, 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 as a salesperson, I can review that budget. I can either agree or disagree with the budget, and then I go ahead, do some data inputs, and submit the budget for manager's review. So we can do a slice and dice through different levels of granularity. You see, I can log in as an area manager, and I update the nil sales based on that. So once the area manager approves uh, or submits the budget, the same budget is available for manager to review, that how much has been submitted and what is available for review. So you see, I still see three budgets are open and one is submitted. I can, let me just quickly open the budget. So this is the simple example. Okay. And once multiple salesperson submits the budget, it is available for manager review, where manager can see that who has submitted the sales, who has submitted their sales budget, and uh, if I agree with the sales budget, I can approve the sales budget. So you will see the workflow has been attached. If I don't agree, I can reject the budget and ask the salesperson to submit the changes. So let's say I approve the budget, and then it will be submitted and saved for my actuals versus budget comparison. All right. So this is in short a very simple planning application we have created. All right. Now in this planning application, you see multiple planning capabilities, like first is the data input, how I can very intuitively do the data input. We are going to learn that within 3 minutes. Then we learned about how dynamically we can create algorithms uh, to initialize or to impact my numbers. And then we also learned about having certain buttons available on the screen by clicking on which I can run some background process which might take care of certain calculations or certain actions which we might would like to bring to the uh, application. Okay, so in this way you can define any of the a budgeting application, and we are going to learn these activities one by one. Okay, so the first topic starts with the planning module. Okay, now earlier till yesterday we have seen that there are reports which we can create as a part of a report, where we can do conditional formatting, we can show some column algorithms and initialize some reports. We are not actually doing any change in the number. So if there is one number which was available there, that number will be sacrosanct. There cannot be anything which can be changed in that button. But in the planning application, you see there are some fields which are enabled or shown in a yellow color, which means I can go and interact with the system and I can do some input in that cell. Okay, the input is nothing but the data entry. Okay, in board, as the name suggests, as the data entry name suggests, data entry is nothing but uh, entry of a numerical or a textual or a date value in the cube. Okay, or for the entity or for the relationship in which you interact with the, which can responsible for bringing the change in the already existing value. Okay, that is nothing but the data entry. All right. A data entry can be simply enabled with a flag. So we learned about creating a data view. So let's take an example of this data view. So this is one of the data view. A data entry can be enabled on any layout by going into the block of that data view and simply clicking on this enable function, and the data entry will be automatically enabled. Okay. In a very short, meanwhile, we are going to learn about all these parameters in the data entry. But as of now, let's skip this. Okay. The moment I enable the data entry, I might be able to input at a particular level. Okay. Now let's create one example. What I will do is I will copy the same object and I will paste the same object. All right, to do the data entry simulation. What I will just do is I will just enable the data entry, but I will just disable the split as flat. The moment I disable the split and splat, you will see that I am not able to do any data input. Okay, so let's see the definition of the data entry. So data entry enablement of data entry is a check option in the database configuration. The security selections will be uh, settings will override this setting. So for example, as you already know, there are four types of board user: board admin, power user, light plus, and light user. Admin, power user, and light plus user have a security profile of inputting any number, while the light plus user are mostly the view kind of a user who cannot do any data entry. So based on the security profiles and the data model settings, you can do a data input. Okay. The data entry can be done on a column on an info cube to save the value in that numerical text format, which I already told. It can be done on a column algorithm. We are going to see in a minute how we can use that and how the impact goes. And we can also do it in an entity where we will align and assign the hierarchies in the data entry. Okay. Now let me open the file. Now to do any, as you know, any cube structure or any cube model, okay, let me just copy this slide. Okay. Now, any data model consists of a cube, and cube is typically defined by the dimensions of the cube, which are defined by the entities. Correct? Let's consider I have a cube which is defined by a month, by product, and by customer. Okay, right? Now, if I have given one information, I'm not sure if you are able to see this. Okay. Now I want to input 100 in the cube. Okay. So what this 100 denotes, let's say this is a sales quantity cube and 100 is the sales quantity for a particular product P1, customer C1 in the month M1, which is, let's say, January. Okay. Which is in the month of January. So I will put J over here. Okay. And let's say 100 quantities are sold. Which sale that 100 will go to? Can anybody tell me?
C1.
Top left.
Top left? Yes, right. Okay. So this block will get the number 100 because the dimensions, any cube or any value in the cube is defined by what? Is defined by uh, is defined by the unique combination of the members of the dimensions of the cube. Okay, so the cube has 3 dimensions. So any value or any block in this cube can be defined by those 3 dimensions. And what are those 3 dimensions? Those are product, customer, and month. Okay. Similarly, if I put, let me put 200 over here. All right. Now, can anybody tell me what are the coordinates of this block? What are the coordinates of this?
The month is October and customer is I don't know, one
Month of October, product 9, and
8 9
C1, customer C1.
Correct. Why customer C1? Because it is the front slice. So the entire front slice represents
Okay.
customer C1. Okay. The second slice and third slice and fourth slice represents the respective customers. Okay. So this 200 is defined by what? It is defined by product P9, customer C1, and month was October. Okay. Now this is the last question. Take your time, but give me a correct answer. Okay, Control Z. So this is the block. I'm just hiding it here so that you know the exact place of that block. Okay. And the data in that block is, let's say, 400. All right. Now, can you tell me what are the coordinates or what are the unique combination at this block?
Product 1, December,
Correct.
and C3.
Correct. Exactly. Because it's the third slice from the front. Good. So what was that? Product 1, customer 3, and what is the month per?
December.
Right. Okay, and it will be 400. Sorry, and earlier it will be 200. So now you see, for any of the block to contain the data or to define the data, okay, the unique combination is important. All right. Now, The same thing applies in my data entry as well. Okay. So let me create a quick screen. I'm going to copy this. Okay, I am going to paste the object over here. All right. Now, let me remove everything else, or rather, let me create one more cube. Data entry training. So the dimension of the cube is month, product, and let's say customer. Go save the changes. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is let me go to the configuration. I will bring that block what I have created, data entry training, drag and drop. I want to input the data here, and I want to input the data, let's say 100. So I will just enable the data entry. I will disable split and splat for now. Right. Okay. What I am going to do, I have to get month, product, and customer, isn't it? I will just show codes to make it simpler for us for this discussion. All right. And I will just give a selection to one product category, let's say. All right. So you see that I have a data view with all the three dimensions. And when I include all the three dimensions in my data view, you see the data entry of my action is enabled. Okay. So if let's try to add one by one. Okay. If I would have put only month, would my data entry will be enabled? Can anybody answer? No, because there are three dimensions of my cube: month, product, and customer. Until and unless you do not define all the three unique combinations, you cannot do a data entry. Please remember this point. You cannot do a data entry, a genuine data entry, without defining the unique combinations which can be defined by the dimensions of that cube. All right. So if I want to do a data entry of in the month of January, okay, I need to have a product as well, because product is one of the dimension. There is only one customer, that's why it is showing data entry. Okay. So let me do a drill down by product. Let me now drill down by customer. The moment I drill down by customer, my data entry will be automatically enabled. So now if I input 100 over here and run, this 100 will be saved at the base level and it can be shown at an aggregated level. So let's say one customer has 100, another customer has 200. I input the 200 over here, save the data entry, and the other reports will show the aggregable data. Let's say my product P2 here will have the sales of 500 and will have the sales of 400. All right. You see the aggregated data is shown at different levels. So now it is clear that the data entry is only possible at a unique combination at which the cube has been defined. Any questions, any doubts here? The data entry is defined by the cell with a yellow color. Okay. So wherever you find in board the yellow color, that denotes that that field is the data entry enabled field and you can input or change the data. Okay. How you can input the data? Whatever the existing data you can override that data, all right, by simply clicking on that cell and inputting the number. Okay. The moment you input the number and press enter, the font color of the number will change from its original color to red. That denotes that the data entry had been done. But until and unless you click on this save button or you press F9 on your screen, this data is not saved in the database. So for example, if I input here 200 again, okay, and let's say I change to this to 800 again, I press enter and let's say by mistake I close this. Okay, it will always give me a warning, or by mistake I let's say refresh the screen, press the F5 or I click on the refresh the screen. It will give me the warning that okay, you have some pending changes. Do you want to continue? If I continue, you see that the original data will go back to the original data will go back to the existing number. Okay. Let's say let me change it to 800 again, and now I let's say by mistake close this and I continue. You see that when I open it again, the data will be rolled back to the 200. So until and unless I press on this save button or I press F9 on my keyboard, the data is not saved into the board. So this change is redundant. The data will be written on the cell of the cube only when you press F9 or you save the data. Clear with this point? Okay. Now, how you can go to the lowest level of any cube? Either you can go through a drill down. So I go to the drill down and I go to the lowest level of the, we call it as the lowest level. The unique combination is called as the lowest level of the cube, correct? Because in dimensions, you can put any dimension which is at a parent level, right? So I can have this dimension by year as well. Okay. So let's say, let me put it by year. I go save the data entry. I do a double click. I go by product. I see the total. I do a data entry. I go by customers. But earlier the data entry was enabled, but now the data entry is not enabled. Can anybody tell me what I can do? By what dimension I can drill down so that the data entry will be enabled?
Month.
And why?
Because in access in using year.
No. Why I cannot drill down by quarter or day or year or fiscal year? Why you are saying that drill down by only month?
Because value is given in month.
No, because the dimension of the cube is by month.
Sorry, yes.
Okay, because the
Yes.
dimension of the cube is month, and how you can see the dimension? You go to the layout, you go to the gearbox here, you see the dimension of the month. So until and unless you don't have this entity by your access or in your screen selection or in your drill down path, the data entry cannot be enabled. One way is could be you go to the screen selection, you select one month. Let's say I select January. You select one product. Let's say I select product 24 and you select one customer. Let's say Chops. you will see that the data entry will still get enabled. Okay. So what we have learned today, the data entry can be enabled either by putting the dimensions of the cube by the axis of the data view. It's not necessary that you can put it all by axis, means all by row. You can put some by row, some by column, etc. All right. Or you can put it by the screen selection, or you can put it through a drill down by following a drill down method. Okay. Now tomorrow you would come to me and say that okay, my cube has 7 dimension. I'm trying to put all those 7 dimensions in my axis, and the data view is getting hanged. Okay. So as a standard practice, avoid
Ankit,
using more. Avoid using more than. Sorry.
Shakti here. I have a one doubt.
Let me complete, Shakti. Please, I'm in the
Yes.
middle of closing a topic. Sorry. What I'm saying is, tomorrow, if the cube has 7 dimension, you can ask me that okay, I can put all the 7 dimensions in the axis, and then the data view is stuck and nothing is getting loaded. Okay. So as a board consultant, you should find an elegant solution. Okay. You cannot put all the things to the axis because again, it will create a Cartesian product and the number of rows will increase and your data view will be stuck anyways. So you have to find an elegant way either through a screen selection, either through a drill down, or either through some process where you can enable the data entry. All right. You can put certain pages, put certain selections on the screen so that your selections will be applied to that data view. Okay. So try to avoid more than 3 or 4 dimensions in your row. 4 is the maximum. Okay. Try to avoid using those. When you want to avoid some dimensions in the cube, I would recommend to use them in the data blocks. All right. So you can actually use them in the data block to show, let's say if my month is a dimension, I can use year in my data block to show what year it belongs to. All right. So in this way, you can try to avoid the dimensions of the cube as well. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Shakti. Now ask your question, please. Sorry.
Yes. If select two entity members in selection, so then data entry enable or not?
You tell me. I explained just right now.
Um, I think no.
No, right? Because those are two separate members. Again, the data entry will be enabled only when the unique combination is defined. So you select 1 month, 1 product and 2 customers, then also data entry won't be enabled. Either in that case, you have to have customer by the access, or you can have the customer in a drill down. Then only the data entry will be enabled. Okay. That raises a good point, Shakti. I would like all of you to follow this different approaches to do the data entry. So now in my screen, I have selected 1 month, 1 product and 1 customer. That's why the data entry is enabled here. Okay. Let's say I don't select anything. Okay. So I will just continue. I will go ahead here. Let's say try to use and try the similar examples in your yourself. So you will find that let's say if I select 2 customers in here, now you see there are 2 customers defined. Now if I don't have customer in the access, the data entry won't be enabled. And you see as the customer has been assigned, okay, you see 2 lines for each of the customer and hence the data entry is enabled. If I remove the customer from the layout, the data entry will be automatically disabled. Okay. And now I need to drill down by customer to enable the data entry. And the data entry will be automatically enabled. And I can see only those 2 customers because those 2 customers are selected on the screen. Okay. So rather than getting this, try to create it yourself as a part of a self study. All right. Uh, and try to trial and error this kind of examples. So you can get a better hands on the data entry in board. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Now, board has a very powerful feature, and let me tell you, it's one of the powerful feature which is which is present with board, where you can actually do a very dynamic kind of a data inputs and data entries at different levels of the hierarchy of a queue without going to the lowest level. Let me tell you how. Let's say, for example, I have done this data entry at the lowest level, which is by customer. Let me input here as well. Let me go here and let me input how much I would input. I will put 800, 200 rather. Now, what are the data inputs I have done? Let me create two data view for your analysis. So I created a queue where I have done the data input for a month and the product. Okay. Stop check. And I will show here month, product, and customer both. Oh, sorry, all the three items with disabling show all. Customer by okay, both are the same data views. One is at the lowest level, which is this one, where I have month, product, and customers as the access. Month and product in the rows and the customer in the column. Apologies again. Create one product. Show it by codes. Now you will see that this is my lowest level, and this is my cube at a month and the product level itself. All right. Okay, so let's see what has happened over here. I need to save the selection, so just a minute. Here I will save the product, and the city I will take it as not Berlin but Helsinki. Why only one? Check an example where we have multiple customers. Correct, three customers. So this is a very good example. So let's say for month one, product P1, I would input, let's say, for customer BF and R, I will just call it by the initial. So 100, 200, 300. For another product, I will put 1000, 4000, 5000. So you see that when I go to the data layout of this block, I see the data entry is enabled, all right. But you see, because this cube is not at the lowest level through a screen selection or through a data view, the data entry is not enabled. We need to go to the lowest possible level and then the data entry can be enabled and you can input the numbers. Okay. While the data entry is enabled on the right hand side data view because all the three dimensions are by axis. So we have two dimensions by axis and one dimension by rows and one dimension by column. All right. Now, in board, we have a very powerful feature called as split and splat. Okay. How you can enable the split and splat? Under a data entry option, you just need to enable this checkbox and it is called as split and splat. The moment I enable the split and splat, you will see that only the cells where the data present and only where space where the data present are enabled for data input. Okay. Now, what this 600 denotes, it is nothing but the sum of this 100, 200 and 300, which is 600. Now, let's say I want to do a data entry which says that, oh, this is not 600, this is 6000. So I can change the data input at a higher level. Okay. I can save the data entry. The moment I save the data entry, you see that all the three customers, the values at the lowest level has been changed. And those has been changed to what? 1000, 2000, 3000. Let's say I change it to 12,000. Okay. Now, can anybody take a lead and tell me what is the expected value I see in this row when I change to 12,000? What should I expect for this customer, and the third customer?
Equally split 4,000, 4,000, 4,000.
4,000, 4,000 and 6,000.
Sorry, what is your answer? Yeah, what is your answer? Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
So it would be 2,000, 4,000 and 6,000 all will be doubled.
Correct. And why? Because the data entry was doubled. Okay. So what is happening here? The data entry done at a higher level. Okay. Or let me put how much? 600. The data entry done at a higher level is splitted at the lower level in the existing ratio of the lower level. Okay. So Shakti, your answer was incorrect. Doesn't happen equally. It happens in the existing ratio of the data in the lower level. Okay. So if I put 600, from 600, I change to 6,000. What is the existing ratio? It was 1:2:3. So how my 6,000 will be split? One part is here, one part, two parts will go here and three parts will go here. So it will be 1,000, 2,000 and 3,000. Let me save the data entry. Okay, 1,000, 2,000 and 3,000. All right. Now the same thing now it is evident that the data entry is splitted across the existing ratio of the lower level. So that makes no sense to enable the data entry for the 0 cells. Why the data entry cannot be enabled over here? Because any data you put over here, okay, because the existing data is 0, the split and splat will be 0, the ratio will be 0 and the value should be 0. That's why you cannot do a data entry enabled at a value if the 0 value is present at the lower level. Okay. Everybody clear? Any questions so far? This is a very critical topic. Okay. So I expect either a question or I say that, okay, you got the topic.
Can you repeat once what is the role of split and splat?
The role of split and splat is the ratio, existing ratio. That's it.
Okay.
So
When
whatever you put at any level, it splits under the existing ratio at the lower level. Okay.
Okay.
Let me tell now another example. Now the total for the month January 21 is 16,000. Okay. Now try to guess the answers yourself. Okay, I changed this 16,000 to 32,000. Okay, what number I expect for product 1 and what number I should expect for product 2? If I make it 32,000, what number I should expect here and what should the number I expect here?
$12,000 and $20,000.
Correct, Par, because what happens is it first splits the ratio of the product of the axis over here. Now this has become 12,000. Now what value I should expect over here? Apply the same ratio over here now.
2,000, 4,000 and 6,000.
Exactly. Now you see what happened? I can change the data at any level. The data in the lowest level will always get the data in the existing ratio. Okay. You can find this out and you can create a working of this by exporting this into Excel, for example. All right. And you can simulate it on the Excel as well. So what I can do is, so this is my Excel. Okay. This is my already existing value. All right. Let me just remove the total because it confuses me. So I will just make it darker. Okay. Now, what happens if I make this total 64,000? All right. Let's create the output mechanism over here. All right. First, calculate the existing ratio here. So, what is the existing ratio? Existing ratio is equal to this divided by this number. And calculate the percentage. Copy this. I paste it over here. My sum should be always $100. So my total sum should always be 100. Okay, let me background it with a different color. Okay. Now these are the existing ratio which I have. Now what if I make it from 30,000 I make it 64,000? What is the expected output over here? What is the expected output what is the expected output I have is equal to the number multiplied by okay. So the total always matches with the 64,000. Let's try to do this input. I will put 64,000. I can put 64,000 over here. Now you see that I input now a trick question. I input 64,000, but the numbers are not changed over here. It still shows 32,000. Why?
Save.
Exactly, because I haven't saved the data input. Now I can change the 64,000 over here, or I can directly input 64,000 at a total level over here as well. Okay. And I save the data input. Now the data entry will be changed everywhere. Now you see the output has come as 4,000, 8,000, 12,000. It will come as 4,000, 8,000, 12,000, 4,000, 16,000, 20,000. Clear? So the split and splat always works in the ratio. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you the last question and I will ask you to raise any question if you have. Now let's say I have removed the data from here. Okay. Now anyone, if I change this data from 12,000 to let's say 40,000, where this data will be updated in this row? So product 1 is 40,000. Where this 40,000 will go?
On the third column.
Exactly,
Because
only one
first-
column because it's the existing ratio. For both, because the ratio value was 0, the ratio was 0. That's why 100% has gone to this customer. Okay. Oops, I forgot to enable the codes. Sorry for that, but yeah, you got the concept. Any doubts now? I have explained it again. Any doubts here? So make it a thumb rule. The split and splat works on the basis of the existing ratio. That's it. Okay. Then you can have one dimension, two dimension, a parent of dimension, two parents of the dimension. Doesn't matter. Keep the thumb rule in mind. It always splits or split and splats the data to the lowest level in the existing ratio. That's it. Okay. Let's try to cover this point quickly in our slides. Any question before I go to the slide as of now? Okay. Let's quickly go through the slides. The slide says, okay, the data entry. What you can do is you can apply certain validation rule to do the data inputs at the validation level, or you can apply certain rule so that you can be able to input only certain types of value. For example, I want user to input only the values in thousands over here, and which thousands? Let me say 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. So what I can do is I can go to the data entry. I can go to the suggested value. All right. I can either use a custom block to input the values, or I can create a list. So what value I will say, okay, you can add only 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Okay. The moment I input the suggested value over here, when I try to do the data input over here, it won't allow me to write anything. So if I type any other value, it won't allow me to save. It will only allow me to save 1,000, 2,000 or 3,000 only. That's it, or 0. Okay. Or sorry, or not even 0, because it's not a clear. So you cannot input 0. You need to select the clear cell over here. If you want to input 0, you won't be able to. You have to select this clear cell. Okay. So that's how the suggested values work. So you can put suggested value. Now, can anybody tell me where the suggested value might come? Any example which you can think of? Anything which you have seen in your previous examples, not only related to board, but any other project or example. It could be percentage, probability percentage. So no one can input any value other than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 till 100. Okay. If we don't allow them to input in decimal, so we want to ask them to input the values in a perfect integer number, we can have 1 to 100 as the suggested value, so that they cannot do that. Then we can input a validation rule as well. Okay, where the validation rule says I want to restrict user to input negative values in the data entry. So what I can do is I can go and click on the input validation rule. Okay, and when I would say that valid when is greater than 0, else negative numbers not allowed. Okay. So if I want to try to input 100 over here, oh, sorry. Let me remove the suggested value. So if I input 100, I will be able to input the 100 less than, sorry. Okay. So you can use the data entry where you can use the input validation, where you can input the values which are greater than equal to 0 or less than equal to 0, and you can use multiple combinations of the data uh, to do the input validation. I think I'm missing something in the syntax. I am quite not sure. I'm missing something in the syntax. What I would recommend is you can look into the e-learning videos and you will get a proper syntax. I don't want to get our time right now in just addressing the syntax over here. Okay. So the idea is you can input a validation rule where if a is greater than 0, then you can able to input, else you show that negative not allowed. Okay. And I go here, when I input 100, it allows me to input 100. When it's correct now. Now you see, it won't be allowing me to do the data input. Okay, when I save. Why? Because in the validation rule, I have said greater than 0, not greater than equal to 0. Okay. Now I can input 100 over here. Now when I try to input -10, it will show me a error that okay, negative not allowed. Even if you want to try -1, it will show me the negative error over here. Okay. So in this way, you can input a validation rule in your data view. Clear with this point? Then there are some places you can restrict or you can lock the data input. Okay. So for example, you can either lock manually, let's say whatever the number changes over here, I don't want this and this cell to be changed. I can lock this cell. Now whatever number I am going to change over here, if I make it as 80,000, the proportion will be applied only to the non locked cells. You see the numbers will become intact. So this happens in a particular case as well, where if we don't want a particular number to be changed, we can just simply go here, we can select that cell, we can lock that cell, and then we can change the numbers. Okay, and the numbers will be proportionate in the other cells which are not which are unlocked or which are not locked. Okay, so in this way you can control your data entry locks and do the locking and unlocking of the data. Okay, you can actually do this locking and unlocking based on some other cube as well. Okay, so you can decide, let me show you that. It's a very quick thing and which is very powerful. Let me create a cube. I called it as data entry log. Okay, I copy the structure from my data entry training. Okay, and I save the changes. What I am going to do is let me create a quick data view. Okay, and I will put a new cube over here. So what I will just do is now I will restrict the data input in this scheme by placing some binaries. So 1 means lock, 0 means not lock. So I will say that, okay, I want the data entry for this oh, sorry. The validation rule has also been copied. Remove that. Okay, what I'm going to say that, okay, whatever the number changes over here, I don't want the number to be changed in product P1 and this customer, and I save it. And what I will do is I will add this data entry log block in my data view. I will hide it because I don't want to show it to the in the report. And what I am going to do is I am going to use the data cells, data view cells locked by what? So I want it locked by data entry when locked when is not 0. Okay. I will save this. Now you see that the moment I put 1 here, the data entry lock is applied over here. Okay. Now if I want to apply the data entry in this block, okay, where I should input 1 here or here. I input 1 over here, save the data input, and the cell will be locked as well. All right. So in this way, you can use another queue to lock and unlock the data entry. Now you will ask me, what is the practical example where we can use it? Okay. So in the workflow examples, what we can do is we can create a workflow status or workflow managed queue where we can flow 1 and 0 based on user has submitted or not submitted the data. Okay. If user has submitted the data, we should flow 1 in that queue and the data entry will be automatically locked. So the user won't be able to change any of the numbers. So it will automatically lock here. So no one can change any number over here. And the data sanctity can be maintained by using this workflow. Okay. So the locking and unlocking mechanism can be very useful in the data entry and in the workflow. Okay. Then we look into split and splat, how the split and splat is applied and what ratio it gets. It's very straightforward. We'll also looked about how we can lock the cells using this lock symbol, or how we can unlock the cells by using the unlock symbol. Okay. There is one more functionality in board which is called as lock and spread. I want you to explore it yourself, but I will just quickly tell you to make the job easy or the data entry faster. Board has provided this lock and spread mechanism where you can input the same number at all the cell levels. So wherever you can, you want to do the input, similar type of input. Let's say I want to select all this product to be locked. Okay. So what I will do, I will select all these products. Okay. And I say, put the same number 1 in all the cells and I enter, and everyone 1 is saved, and I save the data input and I close it. Now you see that the 1 is saved everywhere. Okay. Now I say, okay, I just want to put 0 over here. So I want to make it unlock. All right. Now you can do any number of lock and spread options. You just need to select those cells. You can put a constant number. You can add the existing number. So I want to add 100 in the existing number. So earlier it was 0. So I add 100. So it become 100. Now I again select and I subtract, let's say 20. So everyone will become 80. I select everything and I apply the growth, let's say linear growth of 50%. And it will become 120. Should. Okay. So in this way you can apply, sorry, the growth is applied individually on this cell. So in this way you can use this lock and spread mechanism to copy, to lock, to unlock, to make the data entry faster. All right. So I want you yourselves to explore this option because those are pretty straightforward options which you can use. Okay. Spread a minute to, if you want to take a screenshot for this lock and spread. What are these options does? Otherwise, it will be definitely available on the help.board.com. All right. There are some keyboard shortcuts which are available on board which you can use. So for thousands, you can use K. For millions, you can use M. So you can use 40K to use 40,000 or 4M to use 4 million. Okay. So this is a shortcut data entry. You can add or minus the values. You can add, increase the percentage. One of the important factor is the greater than sign, where if you want to put the same number in all the columns, use the greater than sign and it will be applied on the same block in all the columns. So the greater than sign is very useful. Okay. You can take a screenshot of this and you can try it yourself. Any questions with respect to the data entry you have?
Yes. Yeah. Greater sign only for column. Sorry, row. Means if
It's
I
column.
yeah. So is it any shortcut for row?
No. You can go to lock and spread mechanism. You can select the row if you want to. Sorry, you can select the column if you want to input the same number and put a same number over there, and it will be provided over here. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. One of the part which I missed and is important is the data entry on the column algorithm. All right. Because I am getting this question from multiple cases. So let's take that example and then we will break for 10 minutes and then we will put our time and start the training on the data view. Based on the time, I know I have booked it for till 4 only. I think the training might get extended till 4:15. Uh, Anybody have any concern, just drop me a message in the chat box. I will see if there are more members who has an issue, then would like to cover tomorrow. Otherwise, let's stretch for 15-20 minutes today so that we will be able to cover the entire topic. All right. Now, one of the data entry which is there, which I want. So what I covered is the basic of the data entry. Okay. As I'm saying throughout this session, the training which I am taking is a complement or a complementary training to the e-learning videos. Okay. So there is no escape for e-learning video. Please go through the e-learning videos and please go through the topics. So I am not covering all the topics on the data entry because those are all covered in the e-learning videos. What I am trying to get here is your basics clear so that you know the concept and you understand it, because you might not have got a clearer idea from the e-learning videos. Okay. So that's the basic idea. Now, one of the question is, can we do a data entry on the column algorithm? Okay. So the answer is yes. Yes, you can do the data entry on a column algorithm. So this is my a simple data view. What I have done is I have selected a cube with a previous year function applied on that. Then I am using a budget cube I use a budget cube to do the data input, and I am using a growth percentage. Okay. Now you see that in a growth percentage, I have enabled the data entry in the growth percentage as well. All right. So what will happen? I know this is a column algorithm. So if I made everything as 10%, the column algorithm has increased by has now applied as a 10%. Now, if I want to increase by 20%, okay, I can input 20% over here, and you see that my budget will be automatically increased by 20%. So it's like a goal seek function in Excel where you input what you want to achieve and the number it is pointed to will be automatically updated. Okay. So this is the called as data entry at the column algorithm. Whenever you enable the data entry at the column algorithm, okay, you also need to provide the reverse where that reverse is going to be. What is the impact? So if I increase this by 50%, what should increase by 50%? So in the data entry block, you should definitely give where the data entry, reverse data entry should impact. All right. So I enable the data entry over here. I enable the data entry on my column algorithm. What is my column algorithm saying? Okay, for that I need to use my stylus. Just a minute. Okay. Now, what is the column algorithm I have given? Okay, let's, for the simplicity, let's say I am using it as multiplied by 100, just to avoid everyone's confusion. Okay, I have A block and I have a column algorithm at C block. So what is my column algorithm? Z. My column algorithm is C is equal to B minus A divided by A multiplied by 100. Correct? Now, what is A? A is my previous year value. Now, as you already know, the actual numbers are sacrosanct. Okay, you cannot change anything on the actual number. Okay, this is A. What is the variable which is impacting? So your growth is the variable which is impacting. The growth is impacted based on whatever changes you are doing in the B block. Okay. So when you change the C block, where should it has impacted? Will it impact on 100? 100 is a constant, so it cannot be impacted. Will it impact on A, Shakti? If I change the growth, should it impact on A?
Yes.
Why?
Because A is my previous year.
So it shouldn't impact. I just told a minute ago that it's a sacrosanct number. You cannot change the actuals, what has happened on the previous year. The only variables are C and B. Okay. So if B changes, C changes. If C changes, the impact should be applied on B. Yes or no? Hello, you there?
Sorry, actually my internet is
Of
down.
course, yeah. But have you got the question?
Yes. No.
What is no? Sorry, I didn't understand.
Sorry. Means impact on A is no.
Correct. So the only impacting blocks are either B or C. Okay. C is my growth and B is my budget number. So growth is calculated by C, this formula, C is equal to B minus A divided by A multiplied by 100. Now, if I want to calculate the reverse impact on budget, what I need to calculate? I need to calculate B.
Yes.
How the reverse impact of B is calculated? That's what we are going to input in our reverse algorithm. So B will be equal to A multiplied by 1 plus C by 100. So what it will be? A multiplied by 1 plus C by 100. It's a basic 10th class maths where we are just reversing the equation. Have you got it or shall I go step by step?
I got it.
Okay. So how you do the reverse algorithm? The reverse algorithm will always be the equation reverse to get that block. And you should already define what are the two variables in that equation. All right. And that's how the column algorithm, data entry column algorithm is defined.
But I'm using A and B is the same cube. Okay.
You can use the same cube. Use the same cube as the previous year. How does that matter? It doesn't matter if you use A and B as the same cube. Anyway, you cannot do a data entry if you are using a time function. So the moment you are enable the time function, you try to enable the data entry, it won't allow you to do anything. And what are the issues? You can see the issue here that A block cannot use the data entry enabled with combined with the time function. As simple as that. There is no rocket science over there.
Okay. But recently I'm using A and B same cube.
So now you
A
learn. Don't worry about what you are doing. Now have you got the concept or no?
Yeah, I got it. The concept.
Now try to redo the same thing with this
Okay.
concept, and then
Okay.
tell me if you are facing an issue. And please raise the specific issue. Don't say that, okay, please explain the column algorithm. Tell me the specific issue, specific error what you are getting. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Then we can try and look into it.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. Any questions till this point now? Now we have concluded the data entry topic. And because data entry was the basic for any of the calculation or any of the EPM methodology, I hope the data entry is cleared with everyone and you are able to get the total idea. Nevertheless, as I said, you have to complete the videos and you have to do the e-learning as well. Okay. Any questions from any other? Otherwise, we will break for 10 minutes and come back. Okay. It's 15:08 or 15:09 on my side. So let's connect in 11 minutes. So let's connect at 15:20. Okay. So let's connect in 11 minutes. Hello, Arian, welcome back.
Hi, Aniket. I just have one question. Hello. So, Aniket, if we have connected with a database, then the data entry part will be enabled.
So there are, see, there are two types of cubes, what we are saying. One is the MDB cube, which is a multi-dimensional cube where the data is stored in the board. So everything is on the board side. Okay. The question you are asking is with respect to source database, right? Let's say SQL database.
Yeah, correct.
For those cases, there are another type of cube which we called as roll-up cube. So the roll-up cube, yes, the data entry is possible. And when you do the data entry, the table gets updated with the latest data entry. So board write backs into the source table and updates the data there as well. So answer is yes, we can do that, but the use of a roll-up cube. Okay, let me put it as a disclaimer. Uh, when you work with a potential candidates, and as you know, we are already moving on a cloud-based model for all our upcoming customer. Uh, there might be a connectivity and hence the performance issues which might come where we would like to do a data entry for let's say uh, thousands of record together. In that case, it will create a performance issue. Otherwise, if it's a simple data entry where we pass some parameter, why not? Yes, it can be done through a roll-up queue.
Yeah, Aniket, but in backend it will not change, right?
It will change, you know. So whatever data entry you do, it will update on the source table.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, got it.
That's the point of a data entry, right? We want to update that, change that number. Okay.
Yeah, Aniket, got it.
So just I cannot help but check. Can you check with Priyanka and who has joined earlier if they are going to Devesh, sorry, if they can join. Otherwise, we can start because I want to start this critical topic and I want everyone to be there.
Asking.
Yeah. I will take hardly 50 more minutes. So can you please check with them? Till that point, any other question, Shashank? Any questions? Have you got the concept?
Yeah, I got everything.
Please, guys, everyone, try to do this simulation on board. Uh, try to create different conditions and try to do it on board to get your hands on this. These are pretty straightforward things, and I can understand. Uh, in case you got any of the difficulties, you can raise it to us. But uh, these topics are pretty covered in the e-learning as well. So I would definitely recommend and uh, and definitely recommend and to do the hands-on practice on your own. Yeah, sorry, Shurikan.
Yeah, I texted them, but reply. Oh, actually, they have like they are in another call. Maybe they will not join.
Maybe, yeah. Okay, no problem. Let's start with the next topic. And this is the topic which are going to create a foundation of our automation or what we call it as a board CPM functionality or a planning functionality. Okay. So as I told you, again, I am firm on what I am saying. Board is a programming free tool. Okay. You don't need to write any syntax, any programming language, any code in board. Okay. The language of board is the language of Excel. So you need to use the board Excel formulas. Sorry, you can use the same Excel formulas, and with the help of board's multi-dimensionality, you can arrive at any particular requirement. Okay. One requirement could be I want to do the upload of the data at the lowest level, but I want to see the data at a which is at a post level or a day level. But I want to analyze the data at, let's say, year level or store level or a country level. We can do that in board, right? By defining a correct cube structure. This is a common requirement. You might get certain requirement in a way that, okay, I have got an yearly tax of, let's say, 100,000 to get my profit after tax as a correct number. Please split my tax equally in all the months, or please split the tax in terms of the ratio of my revenue, and so on. So this type of requirements might come multiple times with a customer for an EPM project. And this is a place where we come together, we define a step-by-step approach to arrive at a particular requirement or particular output. All right. So as you say, any planning program or any project in board, okay, it interacts with everything. Okay. So earlier we learn about entities, relationship cubes, security, etc., which are connected to the board database, which are used for analysis and reporting. Then you have master data and transaction data, which are loaded, which you then want to allocate or derive at a different levels, at multiple levels, and so on. Okay. So there are n number of stakeholders working with board, and n number of information is stored. We need to just connect them and calculate them and provide a correct information. Okay. This is my favorite diagram actually, which represents the board procedure or architecture of the application. Okay. What is board application? Okay. You know the board software. Okay. Board application is the application which you create on board software. Earlier, we saw an example of sales planning application, or a demand planning application, or a manpower planning application, or a BI application. These are all multiple applications you can create. The application is nothing but a combination of the database and the capsule. All right. So you can have multiple databases available in your board environment. Let's say one database is for the finance planning, one database is for manpower planning. Okay. You know that the manpower planning, let's say, consists of very sensitive data like employee salaries. So you create a separate capsule for a manpower planning data, so that only the HR or the HR head can show, or any team member from them can look into the data from the manpower planning. So you will have their own sets of screens, their mask, the own sets of procedure to calculate the headcount, to calculate cost per headcount, etc., etc. All right, hiring plan, training cost, etc. Then you have another capsule, which is the financial planning, and financial planning looks into all the aspect. It looks into the revenue, it looks into direct cost, indirect cost, and so on. And manpower planning creates one of the line in the financial planning, which is the direct cost, let's say salary cost. Okay. But finance team is not very keen in looking at a grade level or an employee level cost. What they are interested in, a very high level cost provided to them. Okay, that's what they are interested in. So what they can do is they can just interact with the source data and just get only that information which is required for them. Okay. So in this way, you can you can navigate within the database. You can navigate to multiple database within the same capsule. You can run multiple procedure within the same capsules. You can call multiple procedures from the same capsule which lies on databases. So we will see when we proceed that there are two types of data procedures. One is a capsule procedure, another one is a database procedure. Database procedure are the common procedure which can be run or triggered through various uh, uh, points. It can be scheduled, it can be run by opening a screen or clicking on a button or so on. Capsule procedure can be run only when that particular button is run or that capsule is open and so on. The data exchange between the capsule is not allowed. The data exchange between the capsule and the procedure in the capsule and the procedure in the database is allowed. Calling the procedure from a database into another capsule is not allowed. Calling the database between the procedure between the database is allowed, and so on. Okay. So this is how you can interact throughout your application. Okay. Now, let's start with the procedure. What are the procedures and how the procedures can be built? Okay. As I said, a board procedure is nothing but a sequence of actions which allows user to perform a broad range of tasks. I told you it could be data upload, it could be calculation of allocation, it could be growth calculation, it could be anything. Okay. So the examples for this such type of tasks are updating board database, that means loading the data, extracting or printing the data, broadcasting, emailing the data, invoking the external program. So actually you can, through board, you can invoke an external program which might run in another application. So that might happen. So to give you a case, let's say the customer wants to do some R regression and you want to use a Python or R programming to get with the output. So board will invoke the calculation on their side and get the necessary information in board automatically. Okay, data processing, simple calculation of the new cubes, and the complex calculations of allocation procedures which are required in business model. Okay, profitability models or simulation, what if analysis, etc. All right. So the procedure is divided into multiple groups, and the elementary step in the process is called as action, which is nothing but sequence of action. So we run this action by action to arrive at a particular output. Okay. As I said, the procedure can be launched interactively by the user by clicking on particular item on a screen or by opening a screen by triggering something. So that is where you can launch the procedure triggered automatically through a certain screen when it is open or data entry performed, or it can be done through a scheduled task manager as well. Okay. So what are the procedure needed for? As I was explaining, I will give you 1 minute to go through this slide. Okay. I am pretty sure that most of you who are already working have a similar requirement. I see one requirement which is not given here, which is called as okay. So I know pretty much of all of you are working on one of the either of these requirements. Okay. Right. So what are the procedure and where the procedure exists? So as I told you, there are two places where procedure exists. You can either create a procedure within the capsule which is provided in the left hand side panel in the procedure. So if I click on here, it will open the capsule procedure, or you can go to the data model and you will see a procedure option over here which involves or includes the data flow procedures. Okay. So when the capsule procedure has to be created or when the database has to be created. So I always get this question. So as a thumb rule, okay, keep that in mind. If you are not creating any particular procedure which needs to be called from a capsule, keep it as a database procedure. Or if you want to create some procedure which needs to be scheduled through some automated process, so keep that as a database procedure. What procedure you need to create as a capsule procedures, where you have some uh, front-end actions where you are going to refresh the screen or where you are going to show the changes in the chart. Excuse me, where you are showing the changes in the chart or where you are showing some interactive selections within the screen where you want user to select a particular item or a particular case. In that case, you can use the capsule selection. So these are the places where which denotes where you create a database procedure or a data model procedure or where you create a capsule procedure. Okay. As I told you, the procedure can be called from a button, data view, chart, or other procedure. So you can have a procedure which calls another procedure. So you can create a nested procedure, or you can schedule the procedure which needs to be run at or in automated way at a particular time, and so on. And as you know, you can run this procedure and processes exclusively when if you want to run that, or you can run multiple procedure parallelly. So imagine during a budget cycle. Uh, 50, 100 people are working. They are simultaneously running their own procedures. So they are simultaneously running their own procedures and they can be run in parallel. Okay. Now let's see how to create a procedures and let's understand each of the block one by one within the procedure. Okay. Block in the sense each of the procedure actions one by one. All right. So I go to the database. Sorry, I go to the data model. Let's say I go to the whatever data model I am working on. I go to the procedures. You see, I can create. You will see that the entire UI for all the application is same. You can create a new entity like clicking on the plus entity. You can create a new cube by clicking on a plus cube. You can create a new data reader protocol by clicking on a plus cube. And now you can create a procedure by clicking on this plus procedure. Oops, sorry. On this plus procedure icons. The moment you click on that, it will ask you what should be the name of the procedure. Let's say, let's call it as hello world. Notification execution, let's keep it as default. Let's not get into the details as of now. Temporary queues, we are going to learn tomorrow what they are used for. All right. Hello world is my first procedures. Now, I will save the changes. It will automatically open the steps to be later in the procedure. So this is called as procedure editor. Okay. Now you see, as I told you, it includes the step-by-step approach where you can add each action at a time, and each of these action means something which we are going to learn we are going to learn every action over here. Okay. Or you can create some group of actions and club those group of actions into a group which you want to run repetitively or which you want to run after one group or the another, and so on. So you can create multiple groups and you can add actions in this group and so on. Okay. So now, right now, you can click on plus step, minus step, copy step, delete group, etc. I want to delete it, so I will click on delete. I want to delete this group. I'm deleting. Okay. Now I want to create my first procedure called as action, and I want to show a message called as hello world. Okay, I want to show it as a dialog box. I will save changes. I will say save. Now when I run this procedure, what it shows me the message called as hello world. So you see, have we written any programming language? No, we just selected action by action and we have written the procedure over here. No coding required. Okay. So let's go to the slides. So we talked about new procedure. We talked about how to add a step, how to add a group, how to move the group. Moving the group is again important. It's a easy peasy point. You can add multiple steps and you can drag and drop these dots and move the steps. Okay. Open the edit, save as the procedure, delete the procedure, run the procedure, change the name of the procedure, notify when control. We learn all of this. Configuring the procedure. So we learned about how to copy, paste. You can actually copy this step and just paste the step again. So same step is copied. Okay. Now you can copy the 2 steps and you can paste the steps. You will copy it will become 4 and so on. So you can copy the whole 4 steps and you go and paste steps. It will become 8 steps. Okay. You can select all of this. You can drag and drop and you can delete the steps. Okay. So these are the actions. So any actions can be done from here. Now what I want from your side, okay, create a procedure for each of the actions over here. So let's say there are 25, 30 actions. Create 30 procedure for each of the actions, or create a group of procedure for each of the actions, or I would say create one procedure for each of the group of this action. If you want to just navigate something, if you want to just select something, calculation we will see tomorrow, if you want to do data reader something and so on. Okay, once you get those procedures executed, okay, you will get an idea of how that procedure works. Okay, now the first blocks are very simple, so let me put last 4 minutes on that and then we will start with the complex part, which is the data selection. Okay, so let me just complete the screen and the data reader together so that we will see those points immediately, and then we for the next later 15 minutes we will put our focus on the selection, and then we call it for a day today, and then we connect tomorrow for the other actions. Okay. What I want you to do is create your own capsules. Okay, create your own procedures. Try to create this procedure and address them from the screen, and you will find that the procedures are very straightforward, as the name suggests. For example, let's say by clicking on one button, let me see first action. I want to go to another capsule. I want to show the message and I want to refresh the screen. Okay. Let's call it as screen navigation and interaction. Okay. So I will create a new procedure called as 01 screen nav and interaction. Now what? Let's say I want to go to another capsule. So on a clicking of a button, currently I am on the training capsule. I want to go to, let's say, I don't know, another capsule. So I save the changes. Okay. And I save the changes. All right. Now I go to the screen. I put a button over here. And I want to call this procedure on a click of a button. So you can find the button in your left hand side menu. So I will drag and drop the button. I will call it as go to capsule. The action is run procedure. Which procedure? It's not a capsule procedure, it's a data model procedure. And run the procedure 01. Save. Now what happens when I click on this button? It takes me from this capsule and it takes me to the training capsule. This is a different capsule altogether. You can find it in the URL. It's a training capsule. Earlier I'm in another capsule. Okay, so you can navigate to different capsules by using a go to capsule. Let's say by going into the capsule, I want to show the message like welcome to the capsule. Okay, so so what I have to do is first I have to go to the capsule and then I show the message. It's not like that I first show the message and then go to the capsule. Okay, so you see that the sequence of the flow is very important. Okay, so first I go to the capsule and then I show the message. What message I show? welcome. Now, I click on the capsule. Now it goes to the capsule and then it shows the message welcome. Okay. Now let's say I show the message before going to the capsule as well. So what I would do is I will edit the procedure and I say the message that message before entering the capsule. All right. I save this. Now I want anyone to take a lead and tell me what are the expected messages I am going to see. Okay. This is the procedure. So look into the procedure. The first procedure is show message, then go to the capsule and then show message again. Okay. This procedure is called by clicking on this button. All right. So can anybody tell me once I click on the button, what happens?
Welcome message show.
Wait, I will just take a snapshot. So this is a snapshot of the actions. Okay. Let me deselect everything. Now, this is my button where I want to click. These are my procedure steps. Now my question is very straightforward. What should I get? What message will I get when I click on the button?
Message before entering the capsule.
Okay. And why, Suryakant?
Because it of the store procedure.
Okay, because I have another opinion here, right? Shakti, you said welcome message will be shown first.
Yes,
Are you still stick to the message or do you want to update your answer?
update my answer. First, show message. Second step is shown message before entering, and then click capsule button. Then welcome message show.
Okay, not click will happen first. Then only this procedure is triggered. Okay.
Yes.
So both of your answers are correct, but why? Okay, people don't want to. So that's why I am here to tell you why. As you see, the procedure, as I told you earlier, procedure is a step-by-step action. It's a sequence of action, and sequence starts from some point. Okay. To go at some point, you have to start at one point, isn't it? Right? So to start the procedure always starts with the first group called as main. Okay. And later it follows the sequence of by sequence of this action. Okay. So it starts with the main group. Then main group says, oh, okay, go to the second action, which is show message. So when I click on a button, first it will show me this message. Okay. Then once this message is displayed, I click on OK. Then it will go to the second step, which is go to capsule. Then it will go to another capsule. So my background of the capsule changed because my capsule is being entered. And once that capsule is open, I will be displayed with another message. Okay. So to arrive at my end, I have started here. Isn't it? Let's try in the real case scenario. I click on this button. It will show the message before entering the capsule. You see the background is of the same capsule. I haven't changed the capsule. I click on OK. It has gone to the another capsule and then it displayed the message. Okay. Is the sequencing cleared now? Is it clear with you how the sequence is followed? Any questions here? Shashank, any questions?
Yes, I have a question regarding for steps. How many steps should be in a procedure so that procedure can be run smoothly?
Shakti, you raise a very good question actually. Okay.
Yes.
In general, there is no limit of how many steps are there. Okay. I have created a procedure which has 4 steps or 3 steps, which do the some activity. I have developed a procedure which has, I don't know, maximum 700 or 800 actions as well. Okay. But again, that was again, I was in the very beginning in board. So ideally, there can be n number of steps in the procedure. Okay. A recommended way, if you ask me what is the recommended way, I would always say that keep your procedure with less steps and keep it very to the point. Okay. So if you have a procedure to refresh the screen, just keep that procedure for refresh the screen. So whenever you are calling that procedure again, you call the other procedures one by one. So what you can do is you can create, rather than create one big procedure with let's say 600 steps, create 60 procedures with, sorry, not 60, create 6 procedures, let's say, with 100 steps, or create 12 procedures with 50 steps, and then call those procedures one after the another. Okay. So in that way, it will be easy for you to debug in case you are facing any issue, and it will be very manageable as well. Okay. I hope that clears the doubt.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, Shashank, you were saying something when Shakti was answering the question or asking the question.
No, I don't like this procedure thing. This one is fine. After this, I think I can get.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So next topic is definitely going to be important one, and is the most important in our EPM application, which is the data flows. We'll come to that. Have you got the sequential action how it does now? Okay. Now in board, there is a very good example, and this is a question answer session. So this is going to be an interactive session where I'm going to ask you what are the steps will be performed after which step. Okay. So please pay attention. I go here. I will call it as new group, which is a group 1. Let's say now in board, you can actually navigate the action or navigate the flow of the procedure using something which we call it as go to group. Okay. So you see there is an execution flow. As you see the diagram suggests, as the action sequence suggests, you can actually skip something, go back, do something else, do the navigation and manage the entire navigation within the procedure with this execution flows. Okay. So when I go to say go to group, I say go to group 1. As a standard practice, keep the iteration as 1. Okay. And this iteration is something should not be changed manually. Okay. As a standard practice. While on a case-to-case basis, we will see how it is run. Just to give you an because the moment you put iteration here, the application becomes static, and we want to create a parameterized application even if we want to repeatedly run the procedure. So let me tell you, in my entire experience of 6.5 years, I have used hardly 2 or 3 times the iteration. So trust me, the iteration is something you need to run in the very end of your thought process. So let's always think before you put the iteration. If you want the iteration on that group, there are other ways to handle that dynamically. Okay. Get back to means the the cursor or the action sequence will be get back at the end of this group. Okay. Now, who wants to take a lead and tell me how the execution of the flow will be? What will be the first step which will be executed?
Main.
Main is the group name. What is the first action in that group?
Group 1.
Think, Shakti, and look into the screen as well.
Message before entering the capsule.
Correct. So this is the first action, which is, so obviously it first comes to the main group and the action will be performed here. So this action will be performed. Once this message is shown, then which action the pointer will go to, or which action will be performed?
Go to group 1.
Okay. Now I am at this action. It says go to group 1. Now at the end of this action, which action is going to be performed?
Show message group 1 entity.
Tell me the serial number of the step.
7.
7.
Shashank, your answer?
I think that would be 7.
And why?
I think it will first go to the group 1 and then it will execute.
Correct. Because it says go to group. So the next action performed will be 7. After 7, which action will be performed?
I think 8.
Go to
Correct.
capsule.
Sorry, Shakti. Because we are in this group,
Yes.
and because once this action is performed, there is no go to capsule action in this group. So the action will follow the serial approach. Now, because it goes to the group, now it will run the group actions. So then this action will be performed 7. After 7, this 8th action will be performed. And after that, the 9th action will be performed. Okay.
Okay.
Now, who will answer correctly? After 9th action, which action will be performed?
Step 4. Go to capsule.
Okay. Parv says step 4. Anyone? Suryakant, you were saying something?
No, the same. Step
Okay.
4.
Shashank?
Yeah, I think this will go to step 4.
Okay. Parv, can you answer why it will go to step 4?
Because after the 3rd step, it went to group 1 and 9th step, it exited from group 1. So it will continue at step 4.
Why it will continue is my question. The answer is correct, by the way. Yes. It will go to step 4 and then it will go to step, and we'll see. It will go to step 4, but why it will go to step 4? What happens if I go to the procedure and I disable this get back? Then tell me, if I disable this get back, then will action number 4 happen? Yes or no?
No, it will go to group 2.
No, we'll come to that. The answer is no, Parv. Okay. So why the step number 4 will happen? Because when you go to the group, you have ticked on the get back. Okay. That's why step number 4 will happen. Clear with this point? Hello? Okay, enable your mouse. Let's discuss for next 5-10 minutes. This is very important because. Hello, Parv. Let's continue. Anyone? Shakti, Parv,
Yeah.
Shashank? Yeah. We have very less amount of time, so we have to just be in a rush. So step 4 will perform. After step 4, step 5 will perform. Okay. What happens after step 5?
It will go to group 1 again, or it will go to group 2.
No.
I think the procedure will end.
Correct, Shashank. Because there is no go-to actions provided over here. The procedure will end over here after 5th. So you see that even if I have created group 2 in my procedure, it is never going to get calculated. Okay, because never I have used a group 2 as a go-to group.
Okay, so all the functions that are written in main will be executed. And if group 2 function is not written in main function, so it will not be executed.
No. If you don't have go to group for group 2 from anywhere, even if from group 1 or from main, from anywhere, if you don't have a group 2, go to group 2, it won't, the procedure won't go to group 2. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Now, last 2 questions, and anyone take a lead and complete the entire flow. I want one to say complete flow. All right. So what I will do is I will add a go to group 2 over here, and I will not say get back. Okay. Now this is a very good example. Who wants to take a lead? Your answer could be incorrect. Okay, but ask the question, because it will clear your doubt. Until unless you don't ask the question, your doubt won't be cleared. Okay.
So yeah, the first would be the message before entering the capsule.
Let's wait. Let's try to do it like this. Okay, let me take a note. So the first action will be, so this will happen first. I write it over here. What action will be the next?
Then it will be go to group 1.
Correct. Then what will be the next action?
Execution in group 1.
Tell me the step number.
7. And
Correct.
after that 8.
Wait, 8 is also correct.
Then 9.
Correct. Then
Then go to group.
Go group 2.
okay. Now which action will be performed?
Step number 12.
12.
Correct. Sorry, who's
Then-
answering? Let me see. Nikhil and Shakti. Good.
And
Step number
13.
7.
Then 13.
Then 14.
Yes.
14.
Now what will happen? Now is the question.
Uh,
What is
go
going to happen?
Go
Now it
to
will go
step-
to 4.
Who says 4? Nikhil, right?
Yeah, yes.
Yes. Shakti, what do you say where it will go?
4 and then 5.
Yeah, it will
Okay.
go to.
Yeah. Shashank?
I think the procedure will end because we don't have a get back entry. Like we haven't taken the get
Yeah,
back
yeah.
to.
Oh,
Absolutely right, Shashank. Yes. So in the go to group, you see there is no get back. Okay. So the procedure is going to end here. All right. Now, Nikhil and Shakti, to get them back to step 4, where I should enable the get back so it will come to step 4.
step number 14.
Yes, step number 14.
There is no go to group in. So get back is available only at 2 places. Either
Step-
here, which is go to group, or here go to group. In which go to group I
It
apply a
should
get
be
back.
10.
10.
Okay. Now when I put a get back on 10, okay, after step number 9, I get back to here only. So my 10 become this, and after, because there is no get back on this, my procedure will end at this place.
Oh, okay.
So to run 4 and 5, I need to put a get back on this first go to group.
3.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. As I said, no question, no answer is an incorrect answer. Okay, here. But I want your thought process to be cleared because this is what going to help us in understanding the procedure. Okay. Now, the last question of today's topic, and then we will break for today and we will meet tomorrow. In the same procedure, all right. I have one more option called as if else. Okay. All right. And I will say, let's say, let me create a cube. I will call it as my decision cube. This cube has only two values. Let's say this cube has only two values, 1 or 2. Okay, I will design it at any place. Now I go to the procedure. What I will do is I will create an action. Don't worry about the data flow. I am just saying, putting it for the sake of discussion. So let's say the value in my decision cube is 1. Okay. And then rather than go to group, what I will say, if else, if my value is in decision group is greater than 0, okay, then go to group 1, else go to group 2. All right. I will put a get back over here and get back over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, can anybody tell me how is the execution flow?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
My first cube has value 1. Oh, sorry, the screenshot has not come correctly. Let me take a screenshot of this. Okay. Now, which is the first action will be performed? Let me put it in my. Okay. So, what is the first action that will be performed?
So the cube will be 1, and after that it
So
will
this
show
value
the
will be 1. Yeah. The one
message.
value will be showed. Then the message will be showed, correct?
Yeah.
Then this is a if else statement. Now the cube has value 0. Is it greater than sorry, cube has value 1. Is it greater than 0?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It
then
will
which
go
group should be performed?
step 8.
It will go to
Correct. Then the third action will be this. Fourth action will be
step
this.
8.
Fifth will be this. Sixth will be this. Seventh will be this. Oh, sorry. Let's say this action is not there. Okay. Let me undo. Let's consider that this action is not here. Okay. Just for the sake of example. Thus, this message will do. Then what will be the next action which will perform?
5th.
Who says the answer? Shashank, is it, or Nikhil?
Step
Sorry.
Yeah, 5th. Because we have a get back option.
get back option.
Correct. And then
Yeah.
8.
Well,
And after this,
Then
what will be performed?
it will end.
Correct. Because group 2 will not be performed because there is no condition
Go to
satisfied
group
for group.
option. Yeah.
Just for the sake of our example, let's say this have been 0, or let's say this has been -1. Then the first action will be this, second will be show message, third will be if else. What will be the fourth step?
13th.
We'll go to group 2, 13.
Correct.
13.
5th, 6th. After 13, after 15th, what will be the step?
Step 5.
Correct. Okay. Now
Yeah.
you will see that this type of procedures we are using when we want to do two type of calculations with the with some criteria. Okay. For example, if the delivery is within 2 kilometers of range, do the delivery and update in group 1 and do the delivery in 1 hour. If it is beyond the range, then go to group 2 and do a delivery in 1 day. Things like that. Okay. So you have different KPIs for such kind of a deliveries and such type of calculations. Have you got the execution flow?
Yeah.
Okay. Now please go through the e-learning videos and complete the e-learning. Tomorrow we are going to learn about the selections and the data flows and the rules of the data flow. All right.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
And tomorrow could be our last session. And the day after we will connect for the case study. And so we'll focus entire our last session on the case study or whatever specific doubts you have. Because if you remember, I also wanted to take a concept of sparsity, right? So if the time permits, we will do that on Friday as well. So please complete the training videos and let's connect tomorrow to finish the training. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you everyone. See you tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.